Hello there, many thanks for joining us in our Tuesday Business News Report. It's now time to bring you the feature on the show today as we focus on Nigeria's auto sector. Now, Nigeria's spending on importing used vehicles rose by 12.6% to hit 617.48 billion naira in 2021 from the 548 billion naira which was recorded in 2020. On the back of the reduction in import duty on used vehicles. Now, in 2020, the federal government slashed levy on imported cars from 35% to 5%. Now, the Nigeria Customs Service at the start of this week has debunked claims that it has reduced duty on vehicles from the current 35% to 20%. Deputy Controller of the Customs and National Public Relations Office of the service, Timi Bomodi, also described the alleged 20% duty rate as just a mix-up, stressing that the 35% duty subsists. Well, joining me now virtually to discuss this and much more, I have Mohammed Yamu, an automotive expert and the co-founder of AutoCheck Africa. Thank you very much for joining us on the Breakfast Show this morning, Mr. Yamu.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Now, there was an initial reaction to reports of the crash of import duty on Tokunbo vehicles from 35 to 20%. And now on Monday, the Nigeria Customs Service has debunked this information, calling it a mix-up, stating that the import duty remains at 35%. Now, going by this situation, how do you see this impact the price and templates and worth of vehicles in the country today? And how competitive would you say our import rate is, comparing that to other countries within the West African corridor?
Thank you very much. I think, first of all, it's clear that we note that when we speak about import duty, there's a difference between the import duties for brand new and for Tokunbo vehicles. And like the customs authorities have come out to state, this change or this document was around the brand new, fully assembled vehicles coming into the country. So the prices of the used car or Tokunbo import still remains the same, right? In terms of prices on ground, of course, once you have news like this, it's, speculation, people start to adjust prices to match what it's going to be because they're considering how much it will cost them when they want to restock. So, we might see a slight bump in terms of increase in prices of vehicles on the ground. Hopefully, we don't see that, given that they have come out to debunk this news. Looking at, other West African nations, I think particularly I would like to speak about Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast, since 2018, has passed a law that you can't import vehicles older than 5 years old, and also making the import duty on those vehicles also quite high to favor the brand new vehicles coming into the country. Every African or every major African country is moving more towards getting brand new vehicles into the market, and it's the similar policy that they put in place where the used vehicles coming in are attracting high duties and they're favoring the brand new vehicles coming in. So I wouldn't say it's anything new across the continent.
Okay, now, Nigeria's spending on importing used vehicles also rose by 12.6% to hit about 617.48 billion naira just last year on the back of the reduction in import duty on used vehicles. How do you also see this translating to a bigger penetration in terms of auto financing? And why is it difficult, or why is the car finances space yet to fully take flight despite the opportunities that abound here in the country? Having a vehicle is a necessity.
Yes, I think in terms of increase in spend around vehicles that came into the country last year, first of all, I think we should note that in terms of Bureau of Statistics, about 400,000 vehicles are registered on a yearly basis. About 5% or less of that are brand new vehicles. So a bunch of these vehicles are still used vehicles coming into the country. Now, there are two things that will have caused this. One is as the world moves towards electric vehicles, people are dumping, their fuel emission vehicles, and that, of course, is coming to Africa. Two is that as the world saw last year in terms of shortage, a lot of the prices of the used vehicles in auctions and whatnot went up as well. But overall, yes, we saw more vehicles coming into the country, and it just, fits into the narrative of our growing GDP as well. More people are getting accessible income and can buy vehicles. As you know as well, AutoCheck launched last year, and we're pushing vehicle financing aggressively, and that opportunity is really taking shape in the market. So a lot more people have access to financing right now, and they can then buy vehicles, right? So if you had, say, $1 million and you were trying to save up to get a vehicle, now you can put that down as an equity contribution towards the car you want to get. Speaking more into financing, we are seeing a very huge uptick across the country. A lot more businesses as well, especially, are coming in now, SMEs, to come and take up this facility. And as we see the credit penetration deepen in the markets, we expect that more and more people will start to take up the auto financing scheme. Of course, working with large organizations, working with the governments as well, to further penetrate and deepen this financing option across the country.
And Mr. Ayam, also wrapping up our conversation now, let's talk about the future of car financing and vehicle imports, looking at it from the perspective of Nigeria within the West African corridor, and then also on a continental basis as well. And when we are comparing the vehicle sales we've seen so far, Nigeria seems to be lagging behind compared to South Africa, Egypt, and even Morocco. What prospects do you see coming to bear in the coming quarters as 2022 gets much more defined? And then lastly, let me also have your thoughts on whether or not we're going to see a bigger penetration of electric vehicles or gas-powered vehicles in the scheme of all of these.
Yeah, thank you. I think, speaking about financing and, in comparison to, other leading countries across the continent, citing South Africa, Egypt, Morocco. First of all, when you look at, the average income per home in most of these countries, the average earning per individual, is quite higher than what we have in Nigeria. So it's expected that, people would naturally have more dispensable income to also get the vehicles. If you also look across these countries, they have one thing in common. They have automotive policies that restrict the import of certain vehicles, which gives room to their local manufacturing or assembly at and what happens with that is that, when you pull in economics of scale, because the countries are largely dependent on manufacturing the vehicles that they're going to consume, and you plug in the economics of scale, they're able to then manufacture at much lower prices overall, and then of course take into the infrastructures that they might have on ground. But if we also look at these countries, say maybe South Africa is one of the most advanced across the continent in terms of automotive financing, and we sort of track that back to where we are today in Nigeria. You see that we're currently on the right track. Financing is now largely available across brand new and used vehicles. So as we continue to make financing available, it's expected that more people start to own vehicles, and then eventually more people start to own brand new vehicles, which is the dream of every other person. And I think overall, just speaking towards electric vehicles versus gas-powered vehicles, I think the world overall is, of course, moving towards electric vehicles because it seems to be cleaner, right? In terms of emission and whatnot. So naturally, we would expect that Nigeria also moves towards that direction. But of course, Nigeria also has a lot of gas. We produce a lot of gas. We have excess gas. So this can be channeled properly, right? If you look at countries that are, more advanced, right? Even though electric vehicles are what is reigning, but what is the source of energy that is powering these infrastructures that then power the electric vehicles, right? So I think definitely the world is moving towards electric vehicle. We need to definitely put our infrastructures in place to support this. It might be that, first comes gas, then comes electric, or we just move directly to electric. But I think there's a lot of learnings to take across the world and bring back home and then improve our automotive system overall.
The development is definitely critical to whether or not we are going to tilt more towards gas or electric vehicles. Thank you so much for your time on the Breakfast Show this morning. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Mr. Mohammed Iyamu. We've been speaking to automotive expert and co-founder.